The darkest secrets are... Jane Hawthorne, her voice cut through the noise. She dared... to uncover what others hid, but some truths are buried deep. Her latest investigation dove into the heart of power. A conspiracy? Section 2. The Source. A source in the shadows promised her answers. He called it the... Section 3. Threads of Deception. Truth. But the deeper she dug, the more she realized she wasn't just... Section 4. The Night of the Broadcast. Unfolding a story, she was stepping into a web. Tonight, she promised...
Check, check. Check 1, check 2, check, check.
Live from her basement studio, Jane. Shared her findings with the world. Her voice...
Check.
was taut with anticipation. She described cryptic documents, hidden servers, names she never... expected to reveal. Then the signal broke, a hiss of static and then a voice, low and... Section 4. Silence descends. A clock ticking ominously on a wall, its hands moving with a deliberate, almost sinister precision. Each tick reverberates through the room, a stark reminder of the passage of time, and the silence that has settled like a heavy fog. The street outside is eerily quiet, the usual hustle and bustle replaced by an unsettling stillness. Shadows dance in the dim light, creating an atmosphere thick with tension. Each tick of the clock seems to echo through the empty alleyways, amplifying the sense of foreboding. The silence is not just an absence of sound, but a presence in itself, a tangible entity that wraps around everything, suffocating and menacing. Inside the studio, the scene is no different. An empty chair sits in the dimly lit room, a stark contrast to the usual buzz of activity. The studio, once a hub of information and energy, now stands deserted, a ghost of its former self. The silence here is almost deafening, a reminder of the abrupt end of the broadcast that left everyone in a state of confusion and fear. On the desk, Jane's laptop remains open, the screen casting a faint glow in the otherwise dark room. The laptop, a tool of connection and communication, now stands as a silent witness to the events that unfolded. The screen displays a frozen image capturing the last moments of the broadcast, a snapshot of a time that seems both recent and distant. The image on the screen is of Jane, her face frozen in a moment of surprise and fear. It's as if time itself has stopped, leaving her trapped in that instant. The silence that follows is heavy, filled with unspoken questions and unvoiced fears. What happened? Why did the broadcast end so abruptly? And most importantly, what comes next? The broadcast had descended into chaos, leaving viewers in a state of shock. The chat room, once a lively space of discussion and debate, now stands dark and empty. The silence here is different, more profound, as if the very essence of communication has been stripped away. It's a silence that speaks volumes, a silence that hints at the gravity of the situation. The world outside continues to turn, but within these walls, time seems to have come to a standstill. The silence is not just a backdrop, but a character in its own right, shaping the narrative and heightening the sense of unease. As the clock continues to tick, the silence deepens, each second stretching into an eternity. The question lingers in the air, unspoken but ever present. What happens when the silence descends? Section 5. The hunt begins. In the heart of the bustling city, the newsroom was a hive of activity. Reporters were frantically typing away, phones ringing off the hook, and the air was thick with tension. The disappearance of Jane Hawthorne had sent shockwaves through the community, and everyone was desperate for answers. The clock was ticking and every second counted. A montage of frantic messages flashing across the screen, pleas for information and expressions of disbelief and fear. Social media was ablaze with theories and speculations, each more outlandish than the last. Friends and family of Jane Hawthorne were posting heartfelt messages, begging for any information that could lead to her safe return. The community was united in their desperation, but the fear was palpable. Every new message brought a glimmer of hope, but also a deepening sense of dread. Frenzy of questions, fear, but no answers. Jane Hawthorne was gone. The press conference was a chaotic scene, with reporters shouting questions and officials struggling to provide any concrete information. Concerned citizens gathered in town hall meetings, their faces etched with worry. The police had cordoned off several areas, but there were no leads, no clues. The community was in turmoil, and the sense of helplessness was overwhelming. Jane's disappearance had left a void, and everyone was grappling with the uncertainty of what had happened to her, and the search for the truth had just begun. Detectives were working around the clock, sifting through mountains of evidence and following every lead, no matter how small. Journalists were conducting interviews, piecing together the puzzle of Jane's last known movements. Investigators were studying maps, marking locations of interest, and trying to establish a pattern. The hunt for Jane Hawthorne was relentless, and everyone involved knew that time was of the essence. The truth was out there, somewhere, and they were determined to find it. The community held its breath, waiting for the breakthrough that would bring Jane back home. Section 1. The Faithful Few. A dimly lit room, several people huddled around a laptop screen, their faces illuminated by the glow. They called themselves the Insomniacs, Jane's most devoted listeners, drawn together by her disappearance. They pored over old episodes, searching for clues. They scoured the internet for any trace of her. Then there was Detective Michael Harris, haunted by cases he couldn't close. Jane's disappearance struck a chord. He saw a pattern in her work, a thread that led him deeper into the labyrinth she had been. Section 5. Dead Air. Navigating Harris, the Insomniacs, they followed the trail of Jane's last investigation. Each step forward only deepened the mystery. The closer they got, the more they realized they weren't just chasing a story, they were trapped in it. Jane's investigation had uncovered a network so vast, so insidious, it existed beyond. Section 3. The Dead Man's Switch, the Reach of the Law. She stumbled upon a hidden world where information was weaponized and Section 4. Point of no return. Silence was deadly. Jane knew the risks. She built a safeguard, a dead man's switch. If she went silent, her story wouldn't. Section 1. The Final Frame. Did it trigger the release of her final investigation, or had it already fallen?
Check, check. Check 1, check 2, check, check.
Section 2. The Echo Remains, Into the Wrong Hands. The story of Jane Hawthorne is one that has captivated the nation. Her disappearance has left a void, a silence that echoes through the corridors of power and the streets of the city. But even in her absence, her voice continues to resonate, a haunting reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows. The search for Jane Hawthorne continues, but her voice is not easily silenced. Investigators have been tirelessly combing through evidence, piecing together the fragments of her last known movements. Journalists, too, have been relentless, sifting through files and chasing leads, determined to uncover the truth behind her disappearance. Each new piece of information brings them closer to understanding the full scope of the mystery, but also reveals the complexity and danger of the forces at play. Her story, a chilling reminder that in a world awash in information, the truth is a dangerous game. In the dead of night, reporters work tirelessly, their screens casting a ghostly glow as they type out their stories. Meanwhile, in the shadows, unseen eyes watch, waiting for the right moment to strike. The stakes are high, and the consequences of uncovering the truth could be dire. Yet the pursuit of justice drives them forward, undeterred by the risks. Jane Hawthorne's voice, though silenced, continues to inspire and motivate those who seek to bring her story to light. Her legacy is a testament to the power of truth and the enduring strength of the human spirit.